Mr. President, Senator Kiffmeyer, what would the impact of Section 25, if it were to remain in the bill and become law, what would the impact of that section be on the intention of Senator Limmer and the bill we passed last night, which was to enable the Department of Corrections to fill unfilled correctional officer positions and add quite a few correctional officers? Would the department be able to add correctional officers to protect officer safety in the prisons?
Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senator Latz. So if you notice on line 3910 in the section 25, it says as of June 30th, 2019. So the positions that Senator Limmer has in his judiciary bill would be authorized through those FTEs as of June 30th, and would be included, that there would be that increase as of that date, so they would be unaffected, in my opinion.
Senator Latz.
Mr. President, if I'm understanding Senator Kiffmeyer correctly, then the language here says number of full-time equivalent positions employed by each agency. So as I read the language in the bill before us today, the Department of Corrections would have to fill as many positions as they can by June 30th with actual bodies, employees, and whatever they were unable to complete by June 30th, 2019, no matter how many more were intended to be filled by the Judiciary Bill, the Correctional Department would not be able to fill those positions because that would occur after June 30, 2019. Is that correct, Senator Kiffmeyer?
Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President, and Senator Latz, to your question. Just to let you know that this has to do with full-time equivalents, so it is not actual like numbers of employees themselves. It's the overall FTEs, and so that word makes a difference. But I would call your attention to the Section 26. There is some language in Section 26 that we may have a technical correction for that, because I think the intention was to include that also in Section 25, but it appears that it's only in Section 26, and so that's being drafted to help make sure and to clarify. And so on line 3922, it says reductions. In this case, it was reductions because of the unfilled positions, so this language would be modified, but it would be, this section does not apply to any positions that require law enforcement training. So that technical amendment will come forward shortly. That was meant to be included in Section 25 and was inadvertently left off.
Senator Latz.
So, Mr. President, Senator Kiffmeyer, you're saying that the intention of Section 25 was that it would not apply to correctional officers in the State Department of Corrections, and that they'd be able to fill as many positions as there is funding for in this budget?
Senator Kiffmeyer, will you yield for a question?
I'll be glad to yield, but I need Senator Latz to repeat the question.
Senator Latz, please repeat your question.
Mr. President, Senator Kiffmeyer, so if I understand correctly, you're saying that this full-time equivalent freeze is not intended to apply to the Department of Corrections for the correctional officer positions, and that you're going to fix that with the language with a subsequent technical amendment. Is that correct?
Senator Kiffmeyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. The actual language that is in Section 26 that we will be including in Section 25 with an amendment would affect any positions that require law enforcement training. So this is specific to DOC at this time. But again, Senator Latz, right now I'm talking about a future amendment that is being drafted, and I think it would be better, Mr. President, if we waited for the actual language, and then we can bring it forth and have a more intelligent discussion.
Well, Mr. President.
Senator Latz.
We are faced with an amendment on the floor right now without a technical amendment to fix it, so we've got to make a decision based on a projection of some future technical amendment. I don't see anything in even the proposal by Senator Kiffmeyer at this time that would enable the hiring of unfilled support positions that would be necessary to enable the additional correctional officers to do their jobs. Members may recall from the discussion last night that there were 50 or 60 support positions that would be required to enable the correctional officers to do their jobs as well. And that's just within the Department of Corrections. There are many, many other positions in state government that would be affected by this that may simply be unfilled because we have a very low unemployment rate in the state of Minnesota right now, and it's difficult to find employees for a whole wide range of jobs. It might be ironic that the benefit of a strong economy and the almost full employment rate of Minnesotans at this time might result in the inability of the state to fill positions that are expected to be filled and funded by the agencies either in this budget or in the current projections. Well, first of all, this provision, I'm sorry to see, is just not ready to go. Section 25 is not ready to go to become law. But we certainly ought to support Senator Kent's amendment to get rid of it, and then we don't have the problem in the first place.